Marcol. Chester Marcol. Chester Marcol. Chester Marcol takes it in.
So if you were a longtime fan of the Packers-Bears rivalry, this play is one of those you will never forget.
September 7th, 1980, Jimmy Carter was president. No time left on the clock. Kicker Chester Marcol runs that blocked field goal back 25 yards for a touchdown. Packers win 12-6, one of the most improbable scores in Packers history. It was the biggest highlight of Marcol's career, and he later admitted while it happened, he was high on cocaine. He says it's just one example of his struggle with drug abuse and addiction.
He has since gotten sober and is now a substance abuse counselor who goes around talking about his recovery. Marcol is going to be sharing his story in Sauk County this weekend, and here to talk about that event is Morgan MacArthur with the UW Extension out of Baraboo and Sauk Prairie Police Chief Jerry Strunz. Thank you guys both for joining us this morning.
Well, thanks for having us.
So I'm interested because, you know, he put all this out there in a book. What led you both to inviting Mr. Marcol to come and speak to the community? What about him? I mean, obviously the athletic prowess and attracting that crowd, too, has some benefits as well.
What Adam just referred to was the improbable score of that touchdown. And it's an improbable scenario that you look at somebody who was literally at the top of his game and is willing to share how he reached the bottom of his life in terms of drug and alcohol addiction. He has an amazing story. He was cut from the Packers shortly after that because Coach Bart Starr cut him because of his drug and alcohol addiction. And so when he shares the context of that we look at our heroes and realize behind the scenes there is a significant problem. Look, he was better at kicking field goals than he was kicking his addiction. He went through rehab 21 times before it finally took. And so today he's a substance abuse counselor, and he tells that remarkable story. He can talk about it from both sides of the table now. I heard him speak on a bad weather day in Madison and talked to Chief Strunz and said, we need to get this guy to come to Sauk Prairie.
Chief, how important is it for people, and we've talked often on this program about how this disease, you know, be it the opioids, really doesn't play favorites. It impacts everybody. How important is it to see somebody who was so famous kind of coming clean, if you will, and explaining what happened to him?
Well, I think that's one of the big things that we're trying to get the message out about, is that there are no boundaries to addiction. It affects all socioeconomic groups, all demographics. And, you know, what we're really looking at is we want people to be able to feel comfortable coming out and seeking help, coming and asking for the help that they need. There are families out there that tell us they've struggled for years with somebody in their family who's fighting addiction, and they didn't come forward and ask for help until it was too late. Some of the statistics out of Sauk County, over a 76-month period, there were 66 overdose deaths. And that's why this is so important, that people come out and hear about the message, understand that this does affect all families. Just about anybody in our community can tell you somebody that they know who's struggling with addiction.
We want to make sure people know when this event is happening. If you're interested, you can come out Saturday to the Sauk Prairie River Arts Center in Prairie du Sac. It's going from 6 o'clock until 7:30. You're going to want to come and get a seat, though, because as I talked to you, Chief, both of you over the phone, this is going to be an event that, you know, hopefully brings out a different crowd than we've seen in the past at these events, too. Yeah. So again, 6 o'clock, free to the public. Please come out. I'll be there as well, listening to Mr. Marcol's story and getting the pleasure of introducing him. And thank you guys for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Up in Sauk County. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your help. It's an important fight.